Okay, everybody, I'm back to create. We're going to do the supplemental lab for week 2, and I want to I'm over here in the announcements, and as you can see, I've posted the supplemental lecture file so you can go look at it. I'm going to go to the home over here, and we're going to take a look at Lake West, the case in the Miller book. It's the big green one, and we'll click on the syllabus for just a minute. And you're going to see the syllabus, of course, has that list of assignments, and you're going to see that the tutorial from Miller, you should have uploaded that, as well as the tutorial that was due on the 10th, and then the other that was due on the 12th of August. Okay, so there were 2 of them, and then we had that's really a repeat of it, isn't it? And yeah, not good. But anyway, but then we have this tutorial for Miller that's due on the 17th, and I asked you to upload that as well. So there are the 2 files for Tanika's Tanning Salon, okay? And then there was the 3rd one. Now, we're talking about Lake West County, and the Lake West case is over in pages 67 to 61 of the MIS cases book, the big green one. You'll see there's a 1 upload, okay? And then any material left on Lake West, and 3. So we're probably we will have we'll conclude Lake West, and we'll probably have some other file upload or something connected to Lake West. But this, we're going to really start with this. So I want to make sure you understood. We're going to have at least 2 uploads for Lake West, okay? And if there's and this may be right here, any material left on the tutorial or other material covered. This may be where we maybe take a look at getting ready for databases, but don't count on that. I may have another file that we upload. So let's go over into the files, okay? And we're going to start on the Lake West case, which is in pages 67 to 71. Let's go to the files area, okay? And we'll dig up the Lake West files. So we'll go to the search function, and we'll do that. And there's a Lake West guide, okay? And you'll want to take a look at it. And then let's see. Now I'm gonna go back and look at the files again, because we had the guide there. And let me open this up, and I want to show you, since I've got it here, what's here. Now, this is a PDF that walks you through the key overall concepts that are modeled. And Lake West University, there's this assessment solution 4 file, as I mentioned here. And this is from the MIS cases 67 to 71. Now, I want to take just a few minutes to talk about this case and what it's all about, okay? And this file, okay, this case, excuse me, is one of the ways that we show you how we turn data into information, okay? This concept that IT is information-centric. And we're going to see that literally we take data and we add value to them, just like we would take a raw material and refine it and add value to it. And of course your text talks about the information value chain, and we're going to see that in this case, because we're going to be taking a a set of data that are basically counts, all right, which is the lowest form of data, and we're going to convert them and then analyze them and then depict them visually. And so it would be in your best interest to download this PDF and have it. I'm gonna walk through this a little bit. Now, again, I mentioned this about value adding and the nominal data that'll be organized into categories. Okay, it's converted to a higher order, and then data, and these are percentages that proxy or play or look alike, or we treat like interval data. So we're going to convert those counts to percentages, okay, that mimic true percentage data, or mimic what we would call interval data. And then again, in this case, it lets us test performance versus decision rules. And this is, again, we're talking about IT being, I'm here at point B. IT is decision centric. And then we're going to see some data visualization and variable manipulation using charts, pivot tables. And that's going to allow us to look by things like the correct bisection and incorrect bisection. Now, if you go over to page 67, you're going to find this case is about this is a university that places a major emphasis on helping its students learn. And so they give a test to all of their freshmen, all of their students there, and there's all the background there on page 68. And at the bottom of page 68, they show you a sample worksheet, and you'll notice that they show you a line there that says the correct answer. So they have several sections, okay, of students who are in different majors and at different classifications. So this is some kind of an assessment process that they go through. Okay, that's over on page 68. On page 69, you're going to see the information specifications. They have a series of questions that they ask. The first one is overall, which major students answer the most questions correctly. Okay, that's one of those IS issues. And if you pop over to page 70, they walk through some more of those questions at the top, and then implementation concerns. Okay. And then page 70 and 71 are basically walk us through the test your design business and then case deliverables, okay? And so this PDF will kind of give you an overview of everything that's involved. And I want to talk with you about this because this, again, talks about this virtuous cycle of information technology. And notice what we have going on here. Now, you want to see what it looks like for a blackboard with me? Here you are. And we have data that are bits and bytes. We convert them into information that's actionable data, and then knowledge that's actionable data that can be retained and reused or reapplied. Then wisdom, which gives us understanding, and then we have how that feeds into the company strategy. And the company's value proposition is how do we succeed and sustain. And this refers again back to that business diamond, page 32 in Perelson, and then feedback from the market and key stakeholders. So you can see this virtual cycle. So it's designed to do that, and we'll talk about that. And here's the assessment solution for structure for that file. It's over there in the files. It's called Assessment Solution 4. And it has the following pieces. It has a response worksheet, a summary worksheet, then charts, okay, and then ISQ, those information specification worksheets via pivot table. And we'll be able to see those as we click on various areas or sections of a chart that's going to show the formatting and so forth, okay? And then I have the structure for each of the worksheets in that assessment for solution, that file. So we're going to be looking at that assessment file. You'll be uploading it for every Lake West University. You'll be uploading that file, okay? But here's the structure of it, and we'll talk more about it. It'll make a lot more sense when we're in you know, and maybe when I go through the file, you'll want to have this printed out and follow along, because typically what I do is I have this and I just walk right through it. So you'll see what we're trying to do, okay? And then here's another worksheet that's within that workbook, and how it's all structured and what it's telling us. And then another worksheet and more on about it, and a whole series of hints or things and constants that are used. And again, now I also am going to show you some of the use of some of these functions. In fact, in this case, we're going to find out that I think we're going to use all three of the count functions. Most people don't know this, but there are three basic count functions. Okay, the first is count A, like an apple, and that counts the number of cells that are not empty, as well as the number of arguments or that exist. So there's this thing called count A that says count if the cell's not empty. Then we have what we call two conditional counts. The first is count, C-O-U-N-T-I-F, and we count the number of cells that meet a single given criteria. And then we have a count if S function, and the count if S function is if a cell meets two or more criteria, we count it. Okay, now, so okay, all right, so we're doing all of this counting. How do you get to the percentages? Well, it's simple. We'll take the total of counts, and then for each of these attributes or categories, we'll take the number for a given category or attribute and divide it by the total, and we'll have the percentages. We're also going to see, and so this is a very, very, very clever and well-constructed a tool. It's just wonderful, and it uses count responses, the lowest form, and shows us how we really add value. That's why I chose this case, because you can see. And you're also going to see that they use some conditional formatting to provide a visual, to provide a viz or a visual picture of these data, a depiction of them. So you can see how there's a lot of pages here, okay? And I walk you through the worksheets and what they're telling you. And you'll see these are the notes that I made, okay, as I walk through, so you can see what's there. So there's, I don't know how many pages to this thing, 11 pages of notes about this file. And again, one of the beautiful things about information technology, all right, is that we can use it to convert data into information, okay, that we can use for decision making. And this is a university that gives some kind of an assessment, and they want to look at some of the following. How do students in a certain class, i.e. freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, how do they perform? How do students of a certain major perform? I think they've got econ, accounting, MIS, I don't know what the other one is. How do students in a given section of this class perform? And there are like 10 sections, I think. So you've got those variables of section. We've talked about that. Analytical cube, we've got section. Okay, that's a dimension. Class, their class standing, like junior, senior, etc. Okay, or major. Okay, then we have also incorrect and correct responses per item. So this is a very complex analytical cube, and there's multiple ways. You can just take each of them and multiply them. That tells you the number of potential analyses that we have. So we can really do some slicing and dicing. Now, the one thing about this case, and I also want to emphasize it to you, and is that it shows us how we can take Excel and use some of the functions in it, like the count function, and treat Excel almost like it's a database. Okay, Now, there are some limitations to that, and when we get into working with Access and the databases, you're going to find out that there's databases are not as complicated as you may think they are, and you definitely want to make sure that you'll be able to work on MS Access, because that's what we'll be working on when we do the database cases. But this case, I chose it because we're taking raw data and we literally walk it through that virtuous cycle where we end up with a set of data. Again, this guide, it's in a PDF form, okay? So you certainly, it's over in the files. Now, just by way of just to get us going and I would say download it. Okay, it's 11 pages. Don't print the thing out. You might want to. What I already, as you could tell, I hand wrote it. So I typically, when I teach this class, if I go through that, there's so much. It's such a rich use of Excel, and it so exemplifies what we do in IT that I really like to follow my notes pretty religiously if I can. So I literally walk you through it, but I provide you with that same set there. I'm going to click on the files again, okay, and we're going to come down and we'll find that assessment solution file, and it should be over here. Here's the Lake West Solution Guide. I apologize. Here's the Lake West Assessment. There's the raw data. Okay. I have a Lake West Solution file. Okay. And then I should have an assessment solution file, and I'll find that here for just a second. But I do have the raw data there for you, and then the assessment solution. I'm going to have to find that file because it doesn't look like I'm seeing it here, and that's kind of got me rattled a little bit. It may be over in the repository, but I can guarantee you we're going to work with the Lake West Solution Guide. You've got that. That's the PDF. Here's the Lake West assessment with the raw data, and then the Lake West Solution. And that may be the file that I've used. If not, I'll find the assessment solution file and upload it over here, because I thought that I had it. I thought that I had it here for you, and apparently I missed something. But let's start just real quickly, and we'll look at the raw data file. Okay, that's the skeleton file, and we'll just download it. Okay, so kind of see the resources that are there. And notice here we are, we have instructor Jones, okay? And this is for section 1. These are the raw data. The name of the instructor is Jones. Here's the student's major, their classification, and how they did on question 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Okay, or their answer. And you say, well, where are the correct answers? If you look back over at page 68 in the Miller text, you're going to see that figure 1 sample worksheet. You'll see the correct answers at the very bottom. Okay, and you can see, for example, this freshman econ major got question 1 correct, got question 2 correct, is answered A and C, and then the third one was D. So you can see that. Now, these are the raw data that we're going to take and convert them. Okay, and here's for section 2, that's the instructor Gates. And then we've got Garcia, we've got Yamahiro, and then instructor Wilson. And there are 20 students per section that we're analyzing, so 100 total students. And that's the raw data. That's the skeleton file that we'll be working with. So I'm going to close this off for a minute. I don't want to save it. Now, I'm going to open up the Lake West solution file. In fact, I don't want to do that. I wanted to download it. I'm still learning how to avoid these issues of something like this long term. So I'm going to go back over here and download it. And always, of course, download to your desktop. And I'm going to close this off for a minute. And here's the major count chart. In fact, I'll go to the very first. Here's a summary file, and we'll talk about this in great detail. So this is the solution file, I guess. I must have renamed it, so it was a little bit more intuitive. And then here's the response file, and here's a chart based on correct responses. Here's a count based on majors, a pie chart, and you know how I feel about those. There's a class chart, again, another one of those. And then ISQ 1, ISQ 3, ISQ 4, ISQ 6, okay? And covering those information specification questions, and we're going to see that. And again, we'll walk through it. And I'm going to see if I can find that assessment solution file, but maybe this file will suffice. But I want to take a look at it for a minute, and I want you to notice something that we've got going on here. This workbook is organized with a summary, then the raw data, okay, and then the correct responses, that visualization, then the majors, okay, and then by class, and then the most questions correct, students correct responses, the most correct different questions that they ask us to answer there on those ISQs. I've got them noted for you. Now, for all intents and purposes, I would flip these around, but I'm just going to take a minute here, and I want to show you some of the structure of this and see where we've got. Now, this is a response summary based on sections, okay? And this is the student count. And notice what we've got going on up here. And I'm going to go ahead and try to smudge this up a little bit. And if you look here, you're going to see equal count if. So we count something if it meets a condition. And the condition is going to be drawn from the response workbook, okay? And the table array is B52 to B153, and we're going to count it if it meets the criterion 1. Now I'm going to click on the function dialog box, and hopefully it'll pop up for us. And there it is. It shows us the range and the criteria. So any of them that meet that criterion of 1, which means they're in section 1, will be counted. So we can go back here to the summary. You can see the same thing here and count if response, and notice that it's that same function, that same array of data, but this time we're looking for anything with the section 2. And then you'll see the section 3, section 4, okay, section 5. And I'm sorry, there are 102 students in this section. I thought there was just 100. I apologize. There's 102 students. And then we just use the sum to get those values, okay? So you can see we took these counts, okay? And we used, again, cell referencing, okay? And we're treating this like a database. You say, what do you mean? We're using the count if function, okay? And so this is saying, all right, we count the cell if what's in that cell meets a particular condition. Fair enough. If it's a 1, then it's a section 1 student. Now the data array it's pulled from is B52 to B153. And notice how B52 and B53, there's a dollar sign in front of B, there's a dollar sign in front of 52, pardon me, and then a dollar sign in front of B, and a dollar sign in front of B153. And that's saying that's the array. So we have that set of cells, okay, 102 of them, that are like a table in a set or a set of records in a database. And then we just check to see, does it meet the condition? Is it a 1? Is there a 2? Is there a 1? How many have are denoted by a 2? How many by a 3, a 4, and a 5? And this is just so simple, but so elegant in the way it pulls from that data, okay? Now, we've got that in terms of their section. Now, let's take a look real quickly. Now, here we use the count if s. Count if s says, okay, I'm going to count it if it meets multiple conditions, i.e., 2 or more. And if we look at the toolbar up here, we're going to see equal count if s, and then it's from the response workbook. Okay, and we have the array. This time it's C52 to C153. Notice before it was B52 to B153, and this time the array is C52 to C153. Okay, and then we say, okay, what condition does it have to meet? Well, we're going to come back to the summary worksheet. Okay, and we're going to look for C2, and C2 and we'll look for the summary sheet C2. Does it meet that criterion, and does it meet the criterion 1? So does it meet the major criterion, and does it meet the criterion for section 1? Now, as you come down, I'm going to scroll down to the next one, and we'll look at econ, and notice that it says summary. Here, count if s, the response in C52 to C153 matches the summary D2, and D2 is econ. Okay, and we pull that, and then we go back to the response array, which is B52 to B153, and we find a 1. Okay, so that's the count if s. Well, this is the kind of thing we're going to be looking at, and then you can see it peeking at you over here, use of conditional format. So this is a very elegant, beautiful example of how we take data and convert them, then we visualize them. I think you're going to find this a pretty amazing thing. Frankly, this is, to me, one of the best workbooks I've ever seen put together, and it just pulls so much together, and it takes those raw data, those counts, and will allow us to get some information or specifications, answer some questions of what we're about. Well, folks, I'm going to close this Excel file off, Lake West solution. Okay, and not any changes. And we're back here over in the files. Okay, and we'll be working, of course, with the Lake West, the raw data, and the solution guide, and then the solution itself. Okay, and that's where I messed us up. But anyway. But I want to, again, thank you all for attending. I had 9 of you who were here for the live stream of the class. Thank you so much. I hope this will be, help get you started on the Lake West assessment, okay? And we've talked about the files, and let me go back to the syllabus area for a moment and just point out, we're going to be doing some work, okay, on Lake West University, okay? And then if there's any material left over from the spreadsheet tutorial, which there's not, or other material covered, we might look at another database case, or we may just simply do some more work with Lake West, and then of course conclude Lake West, and then we'll start on the databases. Okay, and I'll let you know what to upload in this here. I'm sorry, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Okay, so don't get all flustered about that, and we'll stay on track. Folks, thank you so much. Have a good one, and I'm going to stop the sharing. Okay, and I'm going to stop the recording and then end the meeting.